How about you?
Went early and didn't say a thing. We'll see if this is.
Thanks, sir.
Yep. Give that same prayer again. That was good.
Yep.
I am prepared, didn't get anybody ready to go for it.
No, you're good.
I'm going to try and get Collier to start doing some praying for us, see what he does. Appreciate that. Are we ready? Well, welcome to you all, and welcome to the May meeting, the first May meeting for the Morgan County Commissioners. We'll begin. Donnie, would you lead us in the pledge, please? And then Kenny will follow us with a prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You'd bow your heads, please. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you so much for another day that you've allowed us here, Lord. We know we're not promised our next breath, and we just thank you for each one of them. We ask that you please pour out your wisdom and knowledge on what we're doing here today, Lord, for the taxpayers, but more especially for you, Lord. We just ask for that guidance. We thank you for your Son. We thank you for that terrible price that he paid on that cross for all of us. We ask it all in your name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Kenny. The first item on our agenda today in new business are the claims. We have claims totaling $1,393,494.38. No holds. Do we have a motion to approve the claims?
Makes that motion.
Brian Collier has made the motion to approve the claims. A second.
Second.
Kenny Hale seconds. All in favor of the approval of the motion signify by saying aye. 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 Motion passes 3-0. The next item is a rezone request. It's up in, I believe, Clay Township, from I-2 to Ag. And Laura Parker, I thought I saw her. Yes, would you? Oh, okay. Taylor, Mr. Taylor, would you kindly come to and explain what's cooking?
We're just wanting to get it rezoned to build a house, sir.
And that's the ground right pretty much across from where the
Driving is?
used to be, yes.
Yeah.
Saw a lot of things going on there. How do you say that? Harith Lane?
Yes.
Yeah, I looked, I've been on it, but I didn't know how to say it. So it's not the rezone of the whole property, but
Well-
it is rezone a part of it, is that correct?
Well, half of it's already zoned ag.
Right, so
And
you're,
where we're wanting to build the house is I-2, so we got to switch it back to ag.
okay, and you received a favorable recommendation from the planning board
Yes.
with Mr. Brock as the chairman. So do the commissioners have any questions? You have quite a bit of literature there and then some good maps. Then I'll accept a motion or entertain a motion.
Kenny Hill makes a motion. We go ahead and approve the rezone request from I-2 back to Ag.
There's been a motion made to accept the rezone. Is there a second?
Brian Collier seconds.
Brian Collier seconds. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. The motion passes 3-0. And happy house building. It's a
Yeah,
lot of
thank
fun
you.
right now. Thank you for the work, and take good care of Harith Lane. It's great. Oh, by the way, I was reviewing some of the work that they did, and if I was looking at our 2019 comprehensive plan, and if you have not seen it, there's a lot more in it than you would imagine. Some really great studies and some interesting maps. So, Josh, is that on our website now, or it will be? Is it on current? Good. So if you want to spend an evening of entertaining, look at our comprehensive plan. It's not just about, it's a lot deeper than you would think, and I was impressed with it. Next item on the agenda is the American Rescue Plan Ordinance. Josh?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good
I'll
morning.
just talk briefly. Dan or Jim, if there's anything you want to add, please feel free to jump in. But you're all aware at this point that we have money coming to us from the feds. The feds is part of this new act. The DLGF, or State Board of Accounts, has requested that we have an ordinance in place to be able to have a mechanism to receive the money in keeping with what Indiana laws prefer. And so this is the first step along the way. We still have no official guidance from Treasury. We're hoping that that's going to start to trickle out this week. But for now, we need to get this passed and on the books, and we hope to receive the first tranche of money in the next few weeks. And this is just kind of commensurate with the federal law.
Right. Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have any questions about the ordinance?
No questions. I'd like to make a comment. I'd like to thank Jim and Josh, and especially Dan, for all the comments on this, and trying to make sure that we're lining up with the state as well as the federal, so I greatly appreciate it.
I second that. Appreciate the work, and looking forward to the challenges of untying all the strings.
Just a quick question for, like, a point of order. Since there isn't been a whole lot of clarity in the direction, if they would throw a curveball at us, we can go back and amend, or, I mean, I can see that coming.
As we've all discussed pretty much by email, but this is just an ordinance required to establish the fund. The actual detail will be in the plan that you'll be adopting later.
Correct.
And even with the plan can be changed and amended as needed as we go through time, so it's.
Yeah, I just want to I kind of wanted to ask a question, but I kind of knew the answer, but I wanted, in case somebody later comes back and goes, well, that wasn't in your original, that you said, well, because this is
No,
evolving.
this ordinance really gives very little guidance. It's
Correct.
just the establishment of the fund.
Yep, I'm good with it. Thank you.
It's the opening chapter, the prologue. Everything is prologue. Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Go ahead and make a motion that we approve the ordinance creating the ARP Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Plan for Morgan County.
We've had a motion. Do we have a second?
Brian Collier seconds.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Josh.
Motion to waive second reading.
I
Brian
would
Collier
like that
makes a
motion.
motion to waive second reading.
Second.
Made and seconded to waive the second reading. All in favor of that motion, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes 3-0. Thank you for reminding of that, Dan. Next item in the new business is the discussion on American Water property discussion. We have a couple folks here from American Water and some people interested in, American Water is a company that is in Mooresville. Well, it's all over, but it's the company we're referring to here has an office on in Mooresville that they're interested in some property.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
My name is Jared Burnett, and like you mentioned, I am here on behalf of Indiana American Water. I'm also here with Troy Bryant. He's the superintendent for the Mooresville district. He kind of runs the show up there. We are here today. We are in the middle of designing and potentially going to be building a new water treatment facility in Mooresville. And on the north side of this new facility is going to be our chemical unloading area. And unfortunately, our space isn't very large where we have to build, and so a portion of this chemical unloading containment area will cross over what is the existing right-of-way for that bridge just to the south. So what we'd like to do is purchase a portion of that back from the county. I believe it's approximately 6,300 square feet. And again, the intent of that would just be to have the property there, excuse me, for us to run the chemical unloading piping through that site over to where mainly like storm water would be stored off to the side. It's my understanding that we need to present this to you all, and then if that does turn out to be a favorable thing, we would need to do some kind of appraisal and get back with you on what that would be.
I've seen some of the work that was in our folder or our agenda, and it looked like some of that, it was kind of a sliver of ground, correct?
Yes.
Right next to the bridge. We have two people in the county that probably need to review that. One is our county highway superintendent, or engineer, excuse me, and the other is our stormwater, because I think that originally had some connection with that. The other question, I guess, what kind of, are we going to make a land swap, or how do you, what's the intent as far as the arrangement made that you're suggesting with the county on that property?
Sure. So I guess what we would like to see ideally is we would just do an appraisal on it, pay you what the property's worth, and then at that point we would own it. And then if you needed access to it for anything relative to the storm structures there or the bridge, it shouldn't be a problem to keep access for the county through it.
So those details would be worked out after, as we go through this process?
Yes, sir.
So I think probably right now what you're looking for is I guess you say a permission to proceed with approval of maybe like our engineer and our stormwater person to make sure everything's, the T's are crossed and I's are dotted as far as those are concerned. And then the arrangement would be that you would go ahead and get a estimate or a appraisal, and then we'd take care of the financial side of it. Or was there a land swap or just a out and out purchase?
Yeah, I think what we're talking about right now would just be a straight up purchase from the county.
Okay.
And I know we've had conversations with the county engineer, and we are currently going through the process of permitting this with the stormwater agency.
Okay.
So those conversations are currently ongoing.
Okay. Do commissioners have any questions of this gentleman or Troy? Brian?
I don't, this gentleman. I do for Terry, or is Tony online? He's not today. Josh, have you talked to Tony? Is he fine with this?
Yeah, Tony and I have talked. He had hoped to have a formal recommendation to you, but the next few months here, we're going to probably see a little less of him than we had. But when we talked verbally, he is fine with this in concept. I know he wanted to loop Terry in, which you all do as well, and to make sure there's nothing being cut off there. We don't think we'll need this little sliver for maintenance of our bridge and drainage at all, but if we do, we'll just want to make sure that there's an easement granted to us to cross through that little piece of it. But beyond that, no, we would just need to go through the normal disposition process, and Tony was okay with that.
Okay.
I'm assuming, Terry, you've already talked to Tony about it as well?
We've emailed back and forth. I looked at the overall plan, and we signed off on the overall drainage plan because that's in Mooresville itself, so we really don't have jurisdiction. We did look at it, but I haven't looked at this swap yet, but I'd be more than glad to look at it, and I can sign off on it. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? I think what we probably need here is a motion to proceed. And then we can follow that up with the plan on the appraisal and so forth, so we can finalize that. But a favorable motion to proceed with what we've heard so far, it would be appropriate.
Go ahead and make a motion. We give American Water the permission to go ahead and proceed, and working with the engineer and our drainage. Sounds like they've already blessed it already, but just making sure that it's all taken care of and just allowing them to move forward on this progress.
Do we have a second on that motion?
That's clear as mud on this end. No pun intended.
Clarified.
We're granting permission to proceed, but we still have to get the final approval from
Tony.
from some outside factors.
Yep.
I will second that.
Yeah, I like the clarification, thank you. All right, all in favor of the motion clarified, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And motion passes 3-0, and I'm glad to see the expansion of the American Water, Mr. Bryant, and that just means growth. And that's what we like to see. Appreciate that, and appreciate the work you do up there. I drink your water. It's good stuff. Thank you, sir. All right. Next item on the agenda is Upkeep Licensing. Josh?
So over the last year and a half, we've started, closer to a year, we've started rolling out ticketing. We've done that with maintenance. We've done that with IT. It helps us to get a handle on what requests we have, but also helps us to get our inventory tracked, which is a big aspect of it. So at the direction of you all, I started looking at Upkeep, which is what we use for maintenance, to use that as an extension to help our highway department in getting all of our inventory in a system that they have full control of and full access of, as well as being able to start putting tickets in for vehicles that need work on, that kind of thing. So I've worked with them. We've gotten them to lower our annual price if we decide to move forward today. Currently, it's at $54 per user per month. This would drop all of our licenses down to $50 per user per month. What you have, I emailed you all Friday. I had a few questions. I haven't had those resolved yet, but this is just a printout. If you all want to move forward, I would just ask for permission that for me to sign, because it's a DocuSign item, and this is just a printout from it. But I had a discrepancy. Their total due to increase our licenses through the rest of, through next February 3rd would be $2,043.62. It would add 5 licenses, one of which being for the commissioners. I calculated $2,009 and change. That's the only real issue I have. I just want to make sure that they can either show to me what the difference is or confirm that it should be the lower amount. And if that's something you all want to move forward with, then we'll get that signed and implemented.
So what we need here, or what we're looking for, is an approval. Is this a contract or just an increase on a contract?
It would be essentially replacing our current contract.
Replacing the current contract with some additionals that improve some of the things we're looking for. I see. Yeah, any questions from the board to Josh about the Upkeep Licensing? That's the name of the company's Upkeep.
Yep.
That's a pretty nice name. Any questions about the contract or the additional? I'll entertain a motion that we approve I'll entertain a motion.
Brian Kyer makes the motion that we adopt the new updated version of the Upkeep contract.
Second.
We've had a motion and a second that we approve the additional licensing contract. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Jim. The agenda is the sheriff's got a grant to help protect us.
Good morning.
Protect him so
Actually,
he can protect us.
Yeah, it's actually protect us. This is a recurring grant that we put in for every year since 2001. It's for a 50% reimbursement from the federal government on our bullet-resistant vest. As you can see by the cover sheet that was sent to you there from our office, this is for FY 2019, FY 2020, and FY 2021 for approval of, well, we've got approved also for 19, 13,319.09, 2021, 13,300, or 515, and then in 2021, we submitted for an application of 7975. So that's what we're looking for, your approval on that to apply for these grants for our bullet-resistant vests.
Well, I wouldn't want to stop you.
We appreciate that, thank you, yes.
Any questions from the board concerning the grant application? None, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Brian Collier makes a motion that we approve the sheriff's request to continue the bulletproof vest program and the grant application.
We've had a motion to continue and approve the grant application. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0. And thank you, Sheriff, and thank you for your work.
Well, thank you very much, and while I'm up here, if you don't mind, I'd take a moment to, this week is National Corrections Officers Week.
Oh.
So I would like to take this opportunity to thank my corrections officers that work 365, 7 days a week. They're at our hotel, and they're serving 3 meals a day and keeping everybody safe in there. And so my jail commander, David Rogers, is here with me today, so I'd like to publicly thank him for what he does over there and that entire staff that keeps everybody safe and the community safe. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and I surely second, I think the board seconds the work that Major Rogers does. Thank you, Major Rogers. I said to somebody, and I don't want to take anything away from you, Sheriff, but I said, Commander Rogers has probably the most difficult job in the county. Well, you've had an excellent record of, that jail is just stellar as far as the operation, and it doesn't come by accident. And you've done a terrific job and keep a wonderful staff, and that's commendable. Thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda would be old business. We don't have anything tabled, I don't believe. And then we've got other business to take care of this morning, the minutes from the April 19th meeting. Do we have any questions or concerns? I'll entertain a motion on the minutes from the 19th of April.
Brian Collier makes a motion that we approve the Board of Commissioners meeting minutes for April 19th.
Second.
Motion's been made to approve the minutes from April the 19th. All in favor of the motion say, oh, and seconded, excuse me. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. We also next have some park rental requests. I think we've got 3, is that correct?
You do have 3 of them.
Would you share those with us, please?
Kelly Clarkston has a request in Sunday, May 30th, and that's not a conflict, and that would be for a 3-year-old's birthday party, it looks like. Don't have a bit of problem with that. The second one is one that we give a consensus on already, and it took place over the weekend, and just waiting on the check. The other one is one that's Belita's put together, and it's going to be a fundraiser to raise funds to go ahead and put a stone up there in the Veterans Memorial. You're going to see that she's did the application, signed the page, as well as did a nice letter. She's also worked with Steve McConnell, and there will be additional insurance policy that she takes out like she does every year when she does it at her house. And it's not a conflict with anything on the calendar as well. So I'd recommend that we approve all three of these.
Been a recommendation, we approve the three. Is that a motion? There's been a motion made to approve the request for use of our parks. Is there a second?
Brian Kyer seconds.
Been a motion made and seconded to approve these park rental facility uses. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. I'd like to not change the amendment, or change the agenda here a little bit, but I think this would be appropriate time to make another motion to this effect, or something to address this. You know, we meet every 2 weeks, and we're basically the park board as it is right now. And I've discussed this with Kenny. I think that I would entertain some thought about whether we could go ahead and let Kenny go ahead and make the approvals based upon his judgment as a, I guess you'd say, program assigner for the parks. And you can clarify this motion, but it would basically be give him the permission to go ahead and approve anything unless he has in his, would like to bring it to the board for further put. It would be what a director would do if we had a director as such. And I think that we can do this with the form of a motion to go ahead and assign that position to Kenny if he's willing to accept it. Kenny, are you willing to accept it, or do you
No,
understand?
I don't have a problem accepting it.
What, legal counsel have a problem with that?
No.
Because that means I'd have to trust Kenny, so I don't know. We can do that. Okay. I do not have I was just getting ready to say, it's funny that you brought that up, because I was sitting there saying, if Kenny said no, I would have to say no on one of these, because if Kenny says yes, I'm going to say yes, so it's.
So your motion is to,
Yeah, I would second your motion.
all right. Well, I was going to let you make the first
If
and I'll
there's a
second.
problem, Kenny, or if there's something that comes across that he thinks
I'd
that,
bring it down.
then bring it back to us, and
Absolutely.
that way,
Yep.
that individual who's making that application can't say that Kenny alone stopped it.
Right, exactly. And it also prevents anybody from, it gets it done faster. It would be as if,
Well, as evident, we got one here that we've talked about, but already
Right.
occurred, so.
right. So, okay, we've got a motion made and seconded to assign Kenny the position of program director. I guess would be a fancy title for our park in scheduling with the procedures we've outlined in our discussion of if he needs approval from the board, he brings it to us. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. We have a request to use the space outside the courthouse, which is a delightful thing to hear what they're going to do, at least from me. I like the idea of having music on the square. And I don't have the letter, I should have it right in front of me, but I don't. The plan is to, well, I need to be more specific. Do you guys have that right in front of you? Thank you. Oh, yeah. The application is to have the Martinsville High School Chamber Orchestra request to be able to perform outside on the corner of the courthouse closest to Los Reyes Restaurant. The students in grade 9 to 12 will have 10 performers. The members of the chamber orchestra play violin, cello, viola, and bass. These students practice weekly on Monday evenings from 6:30 to 8:30 and have performed at the Jimmy Nash Park gazebo, playing the national anthem at basketball regionals and so forth. We request the opportunity to play outside the Morgan County Courthouse, weather permitting, on Monday, May 10th from 6:30 to 8:30 for an informal performance opportunity for most of our community. I'd like for them to make it a regular, but getting them once would be terrific, at least from my point of view. Martinsville Orchestra will be performing the following Wednesday at the MHS Auditorium for those people who are interested, for a limited audience due to the COVID regulations. The opportunity to play outside is one that we treasure and gives us a chance to share the music with those just walking around town. Thank you for your considerations. Any questions about the request? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the Martinsville Orchestra, Chamber Orchestra for May the 10th on the southwest corner of the Courthouse Square.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Brian Kyer will second, and since there's a 50% chance of storms next Monday, I encourage them to come back if they can't pull it off, because I think this is a great idea.
I think it is. Yeah, all in favor of the motion and the second, say aye. Aye. Motion passes 3-0, and I certainly agree that we invite them back anytime. A few years ago, I was in Asheville, North Carolina, where Biltmore is, and it was a Saturday night, and when we checked into where we were staying, they said, well, are you going down to the shindig on the green? And I don't know if any of you folks have ever been to the shindig on the green in Asheville, North Carolina, but every corner is filled with any kind of bluegrass or down-home music and some clogging, and you know, people go just to hear on Saturday night at the shindig. I didn't realize it. If I was going to go to Asheville, I'd not go to the Biltmore. It's pretty fancy stuff, but that shindig's great. So if we could encourage any kind of activity that people can share in our, I think, and use our courthouse, and I'm sure the mayor, I see Mayor Costa back there, I think they probably provide a few other corners where we could enjoy the music of, I don't know what we call it in Martinsville. We'll come up with something, but that would be great, just as a thought in passing. Okay, we have a request, transfer letter from the Highway Department. Mr. Whaley.
The sand and salt now have been combined, so that shorted me on the purchase of the salt. So I was asking if I could take the money from the lease program that I have left over and transfer it to that line.
Okay.
That's basically.
We have any questions on that transfer? We did speak, speaking of the salt sport, we were down at NDOT recently talking about the new contract, and I guess everybody got hooked like we did a little bit on getting enough salt when we needed it, but they're going to try to make it a little better unless we get the crazy weather we had, but I know that was a frustration for you.
Well, yeah, I got to make a note there, though, that now the salt and sand's out of one, so when I do my budget, I remember that.
Okay.
Previously, the sand was purchased out of the stone account.
So it all comes out of.
But for this year, the budget for this year changed that to where the salt and sand comes out of the one account so we can see the de-icing, what it costs to de-ice the roads. Before, it was buried in the stone account.
Okay.
The sand purchases were. The salt was always separate, but not the sand, So when you looked at that account, you weren't seeing the total cost of de-icing. You're only seeing the salt purchase, not the sand portion. But
Where do we, if we don't, do we do any liquid? Will we create a separate account for that?
yes.
Okay. All right. I just was, because I'd like to do some comparing on costs and effectiveness of both those treatments. So.
Yeah, once that gets up and operational, then we'll have a calcium chloride account where we're purchasing the liquid for that.
Okay.
But we're not there yet.
Okay, thank you.
And I don't think we're going to have any ice until
I'm sorry?
November. Should be out of the ice until November.
Okay.
But we still got to pay the bill, so.
Okay.
But we're covering the already deficit situation plus adding a little for this coming fall.
Okay.
But that'll be the same way next year, right?
This 40 covers it and adds.
Yes.
And
we
I'll
ha-
probably come back before you because that was my out right there, but I still need to get a broom and a roller. But I think we've got some money that I'll have to move around, but I'm not going in the red again. Ain't gonna happen.
We have any further questions from the board? Or Dan, concerning the transfer? I'll entertain a motion.
Kenny Hale makes a motion, we go ahead and approve the 40,000 from equipment lease into road salt and sand.
There's been a motion made to approve the transfer,
Brian Collier seconds.
and there's been a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, Mr. Whaley.
You're welcome.
You have a good, safe day. Business to bring to the board. The next item is for the good of the county. The board have any good for the county to mention today? With the NDOT was, NDOT is being, the Seymour District is being managed by a former mayor. Mayors are always good relationship makers, right, Mayor? And this is the mayor of Franklin who's running NDOT from the Seymour District. And, you know, I've been in this commissioner for a little few years, and I've never had NDOT reach out and want to feed me a donut. And they had a nice, Kenny and I attended, I think Mayor kept Brian busy trying to prepare for fires, but we had a nice meeting down last Thursday and met all the folks from NDOT. They were very, they're into reaching out to us. And of course, right now, we're so busy putting out fires that some of the NDOT projects create. We were glad to be there and got some questions answered, and appreciate that happening. Our next meeting is May the 17th on a Monday at 6:30. Mr. Taylor, good luck with your new home. I saw that's going to be a pretty good-sized place, and good luck with it. And if there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll move.
Motion made.
Brian Collier seconds.
The meeting is adjourned. Have a good, safe day.